Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that while I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the court. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And what is going on, Man Hour Nation? It's your boy, Brandon Combs, coming to you live on Trade NFL Deadline Tuesday. Michael Buckheister, we're having some technical difficulties as he's trying to get his stuff running. He's over in an igloo in southern Indiana, so he's trying to get everything situated with his computer. He will be joining us shortly. But in the meantime, you've got time with me, Beastie. We're going to talk some NFL trade deadline. A lot of stuff going on. I know the Bears, Jalen Johnson has already requested a trade this morning. Them two couldn't come to a deal. So kind of makes sense. Bears over the last 2 years have kind of gone high on a cornerback. So maybe they already knew they were going to spend on Jalen Johnson. Kind of the same way they didn't spend on Kyle Fuller. A lot of dumb stuff going on here in Chicago as normal. We had Monday Night Football last night. The Lions stayed hot over the Raiders. As Jim Paul signs in and says, get the damn Brinks truck to Ann Arbor and Nashville. I hear a lot of talk here in Chicago about our guy Jim Harbaugh coming to town. I know Michigan just pulled a big deal off the table, going through all of the sign stealing scandal and everything they're going on in there. I'm not so sure Jim Harbaugh is the answer here in Chicago, though. I'm not gonna lie, Jim. I'm not against it, but I don't know that I'm necessarily for it just yet. What I'm for here in Chicago is just getting it right for a change. Just getting the right head coach, getting the right coaching staff that can actually develop a quarterback. I don't believe that ever happens with the McCaskies in charge. I don't believe that ever happens as long as they are owners. But I don't know. And Man Hour Buck says he says Jim to Vegas. Oh, you're talking about Jim Harbaugh going to Vegas. Again, you still need a guy who can develop a quarterback. You still need a guy who can run a young team. And you still need to find a quarterback, too. I mean, Jimmy G's he's not the guy. I don't know. You'd have to completely rebuild. But here's my fear with Jim Harbaugh, no matter where he goes, and wherever Jim Harbaugh lands in the NFL, this is probably something that the people clamoring for Jim Harbaugh to coach their team should be afraid of. And that is him talking their GM into drafting J.J. McCarthy. If your team's future rests on the development of J.J. McCarthy, you're going to have some questions 2-3 years into this rebuild. I don't know. Jim Powell says Levis is the way, the truth, and Levis had a great game. You know what's funny? I'm in a dynasty league, and in that dynasty league, we have 3 positions where we can keep rookies. until they've played, I believe, 3 NFL games. They could stay in this spot. It's called the taxi squad. And you keep these guys in the taxi squad, and you don't have to pull them into your roster. So I kept Will Levis on the taxi squad this week because I was like, all right, well, let's see what the kid has, and then maybe I could pull him up next week. And the problem is that I kind of mortgaged a little bit for draft picks because my team hasn't been so good. And the only 2 quarterbacks that I had available, one was hurt, and the other one was Tyson Bagent. So I left Will Levis in the taxi squad, and I rolled with Tyson Bagent, and boy, was that a mistake. I did still win this week, so that's a plus. But yeah, I did not. And then, yes, not as good as he calls him Badgett. First of all, he's been calling him Tyler Bagent, which is actually Tyson Bagent's dad, who is the arm wrestling champion, who's like 50 years old and could not play in the NFL right now. So he's been calling him Tyler Bagent, but he's also been talking a lot of crap. And before I get to this crap that Buck has been talking, let me welcome my guy, the peanut butter to my ladies. He is Hoffy. What's going on, Hofstadter?
Mr. Famous Combs.
Mr. Famous Combs. I not quite famous, but good things going on over here for sure.
Let me be the first to congratulate you and actually mean it. I know my text messages can be a little cruel, but what was it? What's your position called again?
So it's actually called the on-air talent and producer for Ultimate Autographs. Signed the offer sheet last night. So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about the opportunity finally breaking into the business that I've been trying to break into for quite some time now. So I certainly appreciate the well wishes, and trust me, man, your texts are just fine. I that's what I like to see. You know what I mean? Because it's normal. You don't like it when people start texting you out of the blue or texting you stuff that's not normal to hear, because then you feel like it's all weird at that point, right? But
all right,
no,
so it's okay if I let the world
that.
know clearly there wasn't enough talent, so they had to go with you.
It's true. I mean, at some point somebody was bound to give me a shot, and with all the hard work and persistency, I've finally gotten that shot, so I plan on making the best of it.
Hopefully you have more on-air talent than you do talent on the softball field.
Yeah, I definitely do. Dick.
All right, carry on.
So, Hoffy, you seen the stuff that Buck was spewing yesterday about Tyson Bagent and him being better for the Bears than Justin Fields, correct?
Yeah, so it sounded like you drank Buck's Kool-Aid and put Tyson Bagent in as your starting quarterback.
It was the only option I had, because my starting quarterback is actually Justin Fields, but he was hurt, and there was nobody left on the waiver line. It's a dynasty league, so there's nobody on the waiver wire that was starting, so I had to pick up Tyson Bagent. And I had Will Levis, but I was like, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't really like Tennessee's team. They're also talking about trading Derrick Henry, so they might be in disarray. I don't know what they're going to get this week. And I mean, he got 4 touchdowns, and he looked like he's the real deal over time. He doubled the total of Ryan Tannehill for the entire season already in one game. Did you realize that?
Yeah, I don't think that Tannehill has another snap for the Titans, and I wonder, do the Minnesota Vikings make a call? Because I think all they have right now is the rookie out of BYU, and do they want to go with that, especially off of they got 2 wins in a row now? They might be able to kind of put a run together and potentially sneak in with a wild card spot. So that's what I'm wondering if they make.
If Will Levis, I mean, look, sometimes you get these young quarterbacks that come in, and you get somebody who plays above board, right? Because you have no tape on him for one. He comes in, he's doing different things. He's doing things that Ryan Tannehill can't. So you're not expecting this out of Tennessee's game plan, and you're not expecting him to tear it up and throw for 4 touchdowns on you, right? So I don't know. He'll definitely start in my league this week. I mean, he's going to start on my team for sure because I'm going to give him the opportunity to prove me wrong. But he looked really good. He looked like he had it the other day. So I don't know what the deal is going to be per se. But he looks like he might be the real deal. And so
look who's finally joining us.
The igloo in southern Indiana has finally melted a little bit. And Buck is able to get his garage igloo whatever going as he has
upside down, you moron.
It's upside down.
That's okay.
What are you doing?
We're just ready for our next one.
Rookie.
Oh my god. That's why you lost to the Denver Broncos.
That's okay.
So let me talk to you, Buck, about Tyson Bagent since you're finally here.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a back seat on this.
We're
That's where you
you're
belong.
gonna sit there and talk about Tyson Bagent, and you're gonna sit there and you're gonna tell the world that Tyson Bagent is better for the Chicago Bears than Justin Fields. So we're talking about Justin Fields, the same guy who has been on the sidelines for 2 weeks, but who is still in the top 10 in touchdown passes, ahead of guys like Dak, ahead of Lamar, ahead of Joe Burrow, ahead of all these guys, still ahead of them on the touchdowns for the season, right? So you're going to have that. Also, he's also has less turnovers this year than Mahomes, Allen, and Jalen Hurts. So we're also talking about a guy who, yes, I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying he doesn't have flaws. But he doesn't have a coaching staff that is capable of developing these flaws. Same thing that you're seeing out of guys like Tyson Bagent, where the pocket starts to collapse and he runs backwards out of the pocket to try to avoid the pressure instead of stepping up into the pocket and making a pass. He has some flaws as well. Same thing that you're seeing on the other sides of the ball on defense, where we have guys missing tackles, where we have guys who are incapable of doing things that at this point, when you look at this team, you have to say this is a problem with the coaching staff. This is a problem. There is no coaching on this team. There is no leadership on this team. Justin Fields is done in Chicago. I agree with you there. He's not getting another shot in Chicago. They've been done with him for quite some time, and they've shown that they've been done with him for quite some time. But I've already said on this show, I've already said it on the Chicago show, I've already said it to everybody that I talk to, when Justin Fields goes somewhere else, he is going to be a perennial All-Pro, and he is going to win a Super Bowl.
Okay.
You're talking about Tyson Bagent, the same guy who had 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions this week. You're talking about Tyson Bagent, who has 350 career passing yards. You're talking about Tyson Bagent, who has started 2 games. I mean, you keep calling him Tyler Bagent. That's his dad. We're talking about Tyson Bagent, the guy who was so talented that he had to play Division II football.
Okay. So let me ask you this.
Story, but that's all it is a great story.
Okay, first of all, TB17 is the man in Chicago. TB17. It is time to put a nice little asterisk in front of that guy's name because he's going to be the greatest of all time. Let's just face it. No, I'm maybe the greatest in Chicago. But Combs, to say that, he had to play Division II football. Let me ask you this question: how many Division I starting quarterbacks are there?
I don't know, 70.
Yeah, I think there's like 157.
So there you go.
Right,
so there are 157 guys plus their 2 backups. So let's 157 times 3. We're all taken before Tyson Bagent.
Okay. So, how many wide receivers are there on a team in college? There's 4
7.
starters, 4 backups, 8
Okay.
times that. So basically what I'm saying is the fact that he is a Division II, he is still a top quarterback in the college ranks. Like Hoffy just said, he broke every Division II record, passing yards, passing touchdowns, passing completions. He was one of the greatest quarterbacks in college. You put him on Ohio State, you put him on Alabama, he probably wins 3 national championships. Hell, he probably only wins 2 because he's being drafted so freaking early.
I'm gonna kill you. First of all, let's talk about it. We do this all the time, and it drives me freaking absolutely insane. We talk about college quarterbacks versus talent, right? We talk about college quarterbacks and what they do. We're talking about Caleb Williams coming out, and he's gonna be awesome. Caleb Williams is a surefire Hall of Famer. He needs to be the number 1 pick in the draft. If you take the 2 games that he's had this year versus the 2 worst defenses in all of college football, in whoever he played this last, Cal in Colorado, he has 3 touchdowns to 6 interceptions.
See,
you take this guy. We talk about talent. Look, yes, Tyson Bagent does some things well. Tyson Bagent has done some things where he has come out of Division II undrafted and proven that he deserves a spot on an NFL roster. Great story. Great story. He will not be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. You broke all these records in Division II, playing against Division II talent, Buck. You're talking about he comes out to the SEC. He comes out to the SEC and he wins 3 national championships. You're out of your damn mind. Look, the kid has the opportunity to do something great, which is come out of Division II and be a guy who can be a backup, who can be a solid backup and come in and not lose you a game when your starter gets hurt. Tyson Bagent will not be the starter next year for the Chicago Bears, just like Justin Fields will not be the starter for the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are going to go out and they're going to either A, draft another quarterback who will be the starter week 1 next year, which is a stupid idea, or B, which is the much better idea, go out and get themselves a veteran quarterback who is a game manager who will start for them next year.
So, guys, this is how you know that Brandon Combs is absolutely wrong. He has dominated the whole conversation. Every time I bring up a point, he's like, oh, no. Listen here, Combsy.
Because your points are stupid.
Then why do you keep trying to take them and let me make it my own? These are my points. Ooh, these are my points. That is what you're doing. If Tyson Bagent goes to a SEC school,
He didn't say his name right.
He is not going to be playing Division II talent, yes, but guess what? He has Division II talent on his team. He would have SEC talent on his team. He would have Big Team talent on his team. He had Big 12 talent on his team. That just makes him that much better. The point of the matter is, Combsy, he is better in Chicago than Justin Fields because he does have a good success story. He does have that grit. He does have that ability to, you know what? Bring it on, baby. Chicago's a shithole. This town's a shithole. This team's a shithole. But you know what? I'm going to put that black and mild in my mouth. I'm going to be begging baby mamas, and I'm going to lead you guys to the promised land because he has that it factor.
You're drinking the Sunday Night Football Kool-Aid. You watch the pregame show. You watch the little story that they had on him, and then you listen to the broadcast of how they were like, oh, Tyson Bagent, he's so great. Even after he had thrown 3 interceptions and looked terrible all night long.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Chicago Bears fan.
Sure.
When was the last Chicago Bears quarterback to win opening day start? Exactly. Tyson Bagent did, baby. He has a better winning percentage.
They played the Raiders, Buck.
So it's an NFL team. It's his first.
They're not an NFL team. Have you watched the Raiders play ball?
I saw their defense play 80 snaps last night and still hold the Detroit Lions to 24 points.
Yes, because the Detroit Lions played down to their competition and still found a way to win
No,
the football
that
game.
defense is good. Max Crosby is a man. That Marcus Peters, I'm glad he's not on the Chiefs
Max
anymore.
Crosby was held down by one of the worst draft picks the Bears had in
Okay.
right. And he was locked down that game. How many sacks did Max Crosby have?
I'm
that
pretty sure
night.
he has zero.
Zero. How
but-
many hurries did he have that night? He had zero. He was locked down the entire night. This team, the Raiders team, is just not good. Look, I wish they were, because I think the NFL is a better product when the Raiders are a good football team. But they're not that good. They're not a good football team, Buck. That's why they had the Lions dead to rights last night. They couldn't figure out a way to win that game.
The referee.
Detroit came in there playing down. Stop with the referees are terrible league wide. They're terrible league wide. You can't blame. You got to stop blaming referees. I mean, look at the Sunday night game with the Bears. Twice they took touchdowns away from the Bears with wide receivers that weren't down. I'm not blaming the refs for the Bears losing.
But you see, Tyson.
Jesus Christ, say it with me, Buck. Tyson Bagent, not
Tyson.
Tyler, not
Listen.
Badgett, not Bagent, not
You want to go back
Bazzer,
to the referee?
not any of that.
His very first play to Mooney, right? 60 yards down the field.
I know.
Amazing catch, untouched. That would have changed the whole
Perfect
game.
pass, beautiful pass. I've seen Justin Fields hit that pass 90 times.
Yeah, except for he has not completed one of them.
But Buck, he has this is where people are nuts. He in the league. And Huffy, go look this up, Mr. Hofstadter.
No.
Go look this up, stat boy. He has a top
Buck's bits, not
5.
yours.
He has a top 5 deep pass percentage in the league since he's been a rookie.
Okay.
His deep ball
Congratulations.
is insane. So don't sit there and say, "Oh yeah, he's never completed one." His deep ball pass percentage is tops in the league.
Okay. It is very, very good to be a very good top percentage down the ball passer when you complete 2 out of 3. Oh, congratulations, my man. Woo! 66%.
Buck, you have an offensive coordinator whose game plan consists of 19 straight screen passes. Like what you can sit here all day long and talk about how Justin Fields has underperformed and how Justin Fields does. First of all, you don't judge a quarterback in this league by wins and losses. That's first and foremost.
Oh,
if you
I
do,
bet
you're
they
an
did for
idiot.
Brock Purdy.
No, they don't.
He hasn't
No,
lost a
you
regular
don't.
season
You
game.
don't. If you do that, then you don't know the NFL. I'm sorry.
So
Anybody who judges a quarterback by wins and losses does not know the NFL, because this is such a team. You're going to judge them on a loss to the Denver Broncos when they blew a 28-point lead in the second half. You judge them on that? Does Justin Fields play defense?
No, but if the offense would have performed just a little bit better.
They ran the ball the entire second half because they thought they were good enough to sit on a lead, which is another damn coaching mistake. You've got 5 wins now in the last 2 seasons. You're not good enough to sit on a 70-point lead, let alone a 20-point lead. Stop it.
So here's the issue, Colmsy. As a NFL quarterback, you get 3 or 4 plays in your ear. You get a pass to the left, a pass to the right, run, whatever. Justin Fields has the opportunity to check out of those plays. He didn't do it. Jim says, I hate when mom and dad argue. We're not arguing. We're just having a healthy discussion. We're going to make socks later.
I get so, because I deal with this a lot here in Chicago. I mean, it's a talk everywhere. It's Bagent versus Fields, and it drives me nuts when the people it's like, it really is like politics at this point. It's like whether or not you support Trump or Biden is what is getting down to. Because people,
we're not going there.
People are arguing about Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent, but throwing out all of the facts because it doesn't support their argument. And the facts are that Justin Fields, after missing 2 weeks, is still in the top 10 in the league in touchdown passes.
Okay, Dak Prescott did that when he broke his leg.
Still has less turnovers than the top 3 quarterbacks in the league.
How many wins does he have as a starter, Combs?
Because the organization of the team is trash.
At what point, Combs, like I said yesterday on that short,
God.
at what point do you have to start placing
When
the blame?
he gets a
not
fair
the coaching,
chance.
not the organization,
When
Justin
he
Fields.
gets a fair chance and when he gets a coaching staff that is capable of developing a young quarterback. Let me tell you something. How can you sit here and tell me that a franchise that I watch every damn week that I follow, you know that in 40 years of ownership of the McCaskies, 40 years, they have drafted 27 quarterbacks. You know how many of those quarterbacks have seen their fourth-year option? Zero.
Okay.
No the longest tenured quarterback since Sid Luckman is Jay Cutler, and we got him from Denver, and he only played for 5 seasons. The 6th season, he was benched. This franchise does not develop quarterbacks. This franchise is not predicated for young quarterbacks to succeed. This franchise is predicated on the run, and they are predicated on the defense. No quarterback that this franchise gets while the McCaskies are in charge will ever succeed.
Okay.
They're
Ever.
predicated
Now-
on white quarterbacks.
Now
Thank
that
you. Yes.
Now that you have stepped up on your soapbox and we're eye to eye level, let's have a healthy conversation here. Tyson, I'm just doing that on purpose now. Tyson went out and won with the same coaching staff, with the same play calling, with the same defense.
He won
with
one
the same
game,
offense.
Buck.
He still won that game. Would have Justin Fields would have won that game? Absolutely not, because he would have
Yes,
shit
he
the bed
would've, but-
somewhere down the line.
Buck, he 2 weeks prior to that, he had just thrown for 340 yards and 4 touchdowns
Okay,
against a much better defense than the Las Vegas Raiders.
who was that against? The Commanders?
No, well, yeah, he did it. No, he did it versus the Commanders, and he did it versus Denver.
Right. The same Commanders team that cannot even keep a player on the field because they're always injured. The Raiders defense is way better than the Commanders defense.
You twist stuff around just to support your argument, because before this season, you were talking about Washington being one of the best front sevens in the entire National Football League.
On paper, yes, they
And
were.
now you're telling me that they're not good because I'm telling you Justin Fields tore them apart.
No, I'm saying because I've watched games now and they're not very good. There's a reason why.
Did Tyson Bagent look good on Sunday?
He looked like a rookie quarterback. Yes.
Yes, he looked like a rookie quarterback. Watch him again this Sunday.
Okay.
When he's actually playing defenses, Buck.
Okay.
He's playing the Saints, one of the best defenses in the NFL, top 5.
Right.
In New Orleans. If he has another bad game, like, I'm not saying this is Tyson Bagent's fault either. I'm not saying Tyson Bagent is a bad quarterback. I'm saying Tyson Bagent has a career in this league. But Tyson Bagent is not better than Justin Fields. And if you keep continuously believing that, like, I don't understand how you can look at what Justin Fields has done on an NFL field and not see how talented the kid is. And if he goes to an organization like the Atlanta Falcons or the Los Angeles Rams, this kid is going to thrive with a coaching staff that can develop his weaknesses. Yes, he has weaknesses. He has a few of them. He has a couple of things in this league he has to learn, but he has not yet had a coaching staff that can develop that. He has not yet had an offensive coordinator that can game plan to his strengths. He has had nothing around him to help him improve. And Tyson Bagent is in that same field. Tyson Bagent isn't going to get better under this coaching staff because they're not capable of making him better.
So
Do
this
you
is
believe that this league is a result-driven league?
Do I believe this league is a result-driven league?
Don't we say it all the time that this league is a result-driven league?
It is a result-driven league.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want someone that's win percentage is 500 or someone that's below like 333 at this point?
Again, you look at what is around him. Look at the coaching staff. You want me to go ahead and go talk about any other quarterback in this league? Trevor Lawrence. Let's, freaking Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has more losses than any quarterback since he's been drafted. We don't talk about him. We talk about him being a top 5 quarterback in this league. We talk about
You also
him doing
talked about how Fields threw for how many yards against the Broncos? They're what, 27th in pass defense, and you said they're better than the Raiders. The Raiders are the number 10 in pass defense.
Hold on. Let's talk about results-driven league then. Hey Buck, how did Patrick Mahomes do against the Denver Broncos this week?
He was sick.
Oh, he was sick. Maybe he was hung over from going to the World Series the night before.
No, that was Travis Kelce. Mahomes went to the soccer game the night before.
No, he went to the World Series because I saw him sitting there watching it.
But either way, if you want to talk about the Chiefs and
Travis
take away
Kelce had a bad
this
game because
whole-
Taylor Swift didn't show up.
No,
Let's be real.
the Denver Broncos always play the Kansas City Chiefs really, really well.
So
They
now we
match
have
up
an
really well.
excuse for why a guy didn't play well against him. But when a guy does play well against him, we're like, oh no, stop.
Okay,
I'm not telling you that. Look, what I'm telling you is that the coaching staff in Chicago is so bad that nobody in this organization would have started. Had they drafted Patrick Mahomes instead of Mitch Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes would be somewhere right now being a backup trying to be a starter because they would have ruined him too.
Okay. Now, here are the facts of the matter, Combs. You have taken everything that I said and you spun it into that you think that I said Tyson is better than Justin Fields as a quarterback. I did not say that. I said Tyson is better for Chicago in Chicago than Justin Fields. That is
Also
what
false.
I said.
That's false too, though.
How is that false?
You're talking about a guy. There is no place on this planet where Tyson Bagent is a better option than Justin Fields. There's no place on this planet where that is a true statement. That it's a false statement to say, because there is no way a guy with that much talent is a worse option than a guy with much less talent. He does some things. He does some things better than what Justin Fields does. He gets the ball out a little bit faster. But no, he does not, Buck.
So let me ask you this question.
Oh, John People says a performance. What performance? The 160 yards that he threw. You know why they beat the Las Vegas Raiders? Because Deontay Foreman went off for 3 touchdowns.
Because of the passing game was there.
No, because the run game was finally there. They went with a game plan that they hadn't gone with since Justin Fields became the quarterback. They ran the fucking ball.
So here, when you have a threat to pass the ball down the field and you have the threat to be a good quarterback, that opens up the running game. Everybody knows that.
Next subject. What else are we talking about today?
No, we're not. John says he looked like a leader. Thank you, John. Fields is too busy running for his life. This is why Tyson is better for Chicago. He is a leader of the team. He's a leader of men. Justin Fields wants to put on his sunglasses and think and act like he's calling plays on the sideline. And then when they go sit on the bench to each other, he's giving him the cold shoulder.
I can't wait till this time next year. I can't wait this time next year because Justin Fields will be playing for another organization, and Justin Fields, we're going to be talking about whether or not he's an MVP candidate.
Okay. We certainly are not, but that's okay. Justin Fields will never be an MVP coming back.
Okay.
Jim says it's Chicago. Who cares?
Says the Raider fan.
Right. So I did see this comment from Brian. He says, who is mom and who is dad in this scenario? I am definitely dad because I'm bigger than stronger than Combs, and women are always inferior.
You're a Chiefs fan and a Cowboys fan. You're definitely the bitch of the relationship.
Yeah, well, I also got a cheese head and a Detroit Lions jersey.
Yeah, exactly. Too. Yeah, so you're definitely the bottom.
Hey, did you see my Khalil Mack jersey that I got?
Khalil Mack?
Yeah.
Is it a Chargers one or a Bears one?
The Bears one. Yeah, nice. I wore it just the other day, just for you. Let's talk about those Raiders. The Raiders were on the field last night for 80 plus snaps.
Were they though?
What do you mean were they? The defense.
If you watch that game, the Lions played down to their competition.
I think the Lions offense looked very, very well. They just could not get the ball in the red zone.
Oh, I agree.
Or into the end zone, I should say.
Yeah, until they realized that they needed something because they were going to lose that football game. I mean, then they were able to just figure it out and get in the end zone and put it away. But that that Raiders team, I mean, they should have won that game.
The Raiders.
They should have figured out. Yes, I mean the drop at the end by Devontae Adams. I mean, how often do you see a ball hit him in the hands and it land on the turf?
Well, you could see the frustration coming out of Devontae Adams well before that. When Jimmy G missed him wide open, I think it was twice. He was wide open, and he's throwing his helmet down on the ground, and you could see his lips saying, "Are you effing kidding me?" So his head was way out of it, like at that particular point, and I think Devontae Adams gets moved by the 4 o'clock deadline today.
Jim Paul with the comment of the day.
Yeah. It's a Fashion Academy show now. Mac can lick on heroin spoon.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough. I don't know that Jimmy G can make this team any more. I don't even know the words. Like, Jimmy G just does not look good. And this is a guy who, coming into the season, I was like, this might be good for the Raiders.
Right.
They went out and got a quarterback that just knows how to win, and he always gets the job done. I thought that they had a great quarterback in Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr puts up the numbers every damn year. They finally put a team around him, and they let him go, and they go get Jimmy G. I don't know. I'm not so sure that this Raiders team is capable of winning many more games. They got the Giants this week. They should destroy the Giants. But then they got the Jets, Dolphins, Chiefs, Vikings, and Chargers, and Chiefs again. Minus the Giants, I don't know if they win a game out of that next stretch.
Well, hell, even the Giants with Daniel Jones possibly coming back next week would be huge as well. But
did you see the way they played against the Jets?
That was just a bad game. It was raining. It was cold. It was just a bad game for everybody. So
it was terrible.
Yeah, it was a very ugly game. But Jimmy G to the Raiders, Combs, is kind of like Justin Fields and Tyson, right? It's just one fits a team better than the other. Yes, we do. Like, I thought Jimmy G was a great pickup. I thought, hey, he has won many, many games in San Francisco. Put him in. Bada bing, bada boom. It says Jimmy G is recovering in a battered women's shelter today. He literally was on his back for more than good. Jefferson, I love that conversation.
The new comment of the day.
Yeah. But there are just certain players that don't fit teams very well. And I think Jimmy G in Vegas in that Raider organization just isn't a very good fit. Same with McDouche, what's his real name? Josh McDaniels. It just, like, he might be a good head coach. He doesn't fit the Raider way, you know.
He's a good offensive coordinator. I don't think he makes a very good head coach.
Well, even if he's a good offensive coordinator, the plays that the Raiders were calling last night were very suspect. They were, it was 3rd and 17, and they call a dump off pass. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's just stupid. But Jimmy G needs to probably no longer be the Raiders quarterback. After last night, I think he lost his team. He missed a lot of easy throws that he should have made. Yes, he was getting pressured a lot, but maybe, just maybe, you know, they could possibly win one more game for the rest of the season. Maybe it is time to put Adrian O'Connell in there. Maybe it's time to see what they have in Adrian O'Connell, or they have 5 hours to make a trade. Maybe they go out and make a trade with Arizona.
Let me ask you a question. We've talked about these two quarterbacks today now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you try, if you're the Raiders and if you're the Bears, would you accept a Jimmy G for Justin Fields? Does that make both of those quarterbacks better in those situations?
I don't think any quarterback to the Raiders right now makes anybody better. I think the Raiders need an established quarterback, an established veteran leadership to reel in Devontae Adams, to figure out why Josh Jacobs absolutely sucks this season. They need some type of veteran leadership in there, and Matthew Stafford or somebody like that to really ream it in. I think it was John or Jim saying that Kirk Cousins to the Raiders instantly makes them better. That would have been a perfect trade. Obviously, he is out for the season now, but I don't think any quarterback out there that would be willing to be traded within the next 4 or 5 hours makes the Raiders better at all.
Yeah, and I think if Justin does get traded, I think he ends up in Atlanta. If he gets traded today, he ends up in Atlanta. I do believe that by the end of the season they'll get Justin out of town, and I actually have a theory where Kirk Cousins becomes a Chicago Bears quarterback. I think he fits their mold. I think he fits what they like to do, white pocket quarterback. And so I just
So
you laugh, Hoppy, but I really
agent?
think that that's the thing. Kirk Cousins is a free agent.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
do you think the Vikings will let him walk after the season after putting up MVP numbers year after year after year?
I think
his best year of his life.
I think if he was healthy, they would have traded him today. If he didn't tear his Achilles on Sunday, he would be traded today.
The Vikings have one of the easiest schedules moving forward. They were 4-4, right? They could have easily probably won 10, 11 games with the rest of their schedule moving forward.
They're not trying to win. I mean, they've shown time and time again they're not trying to win. They've traded all their talent already anyway, with the exception of Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins.
They had Danielle Hunter still. They have Harrison.
Right. And Danielle Hunter, I believe, will be gone by the end of the day as well.
No, that's not going to happen.
Yes. I'm just telling you, the Vikings have shown that they are ready to start a rebuild in Minnesota. And I think it was going to start with the trade deadline. And Kirk Cousins kind of threw a wrench in that plan with his Achilles.
Right.
But I think that Kirk Cousins is done in Minnesota. And I think that he'll be somewhere where they need a game managing quarterback.
So how about this? There's been a lot of rumors about Trey Lance to Minnesota, Trey Lance to Vegas, Trey Lance here, there, right? Do you think Trey Lance gets moved at all today?
I mean, if you're Minnesota, probably not. Maybe if you're Atlanta, you might take that chance if you don't get Justin Fields today. If you're trying to think of other teams, maybe the Raiders might try to take a chance on a guy like Trey Lance. I don't know. I really don't. I don't believe in Trey Lance. I think if you do take a chance on Trey Lance, it's going to be a failed attempt anyway. I don't think he's a quarterback that's equipped to be a starter in this league.
Oh, we'll see that next year in Dallas. I like to think.
John People says we have enough half-ass quarterbacks in Vegas.
Yeah, John also says Cousins will never go to a rival team if he's a free agent and money talks. Combs, correct me, or Hoffy, correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't the Chicago Bears have the most salary cap money going into this off season? Like they could pretty much sign anybody if they wanted to. Like
they also have the most draft capital.
Yeah.
And they're about to trade Jalen Johnson. He requested a trade this morning. They couldn't come to an agreement on a contract, so they gave him permission to go seek a new home. Lockdown cornerback, you're going to get even more draft capital there. So the Bears should be making some moves this offseason. Just gotta hope and pray they accidentally get one right.
So, Javi, you got a question for us?
Yeah. It's right there for you.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. You offer so much.
Set it up, and he's like, oh.
Just sit in the back and,
Okay, so guys, the Giants traded Leonard Williams to the Seahawks. I believe it was yesterday, right? They got a first-round pick, I think, and the Seahawks also picked up Frank Clark, and they traded for was it the Chicago Bears nose tackle as well? Was it? I think it was. I can't remember. But they have picked up quite a few of defensive fronts, and Hoffy wants to know, does it make them the favorites in the West? Combs, I'm going to kick that to you first.
I think that they're not done making moves in Seattle. I know as Jefferson Thomas just chimes in, actually, there's talk about Devontae Adams going to Seattle.
Really?
DK and Devontae would make a hell of a pairing in Seattle. along with Tyler Lockett. I mean, that's a
Smith and
pretty
Jigma.
hefty wide receiver
Yeah.
core. I like the Seahawks. I actually think that the Seahawks will probably be in on Jalen Johnson as well from the Bears. So I really do think the Seahawks are going to be better. I think they have a chance at winning the West. I mean, the 49ers are playing injured again, and that's not a good sign. When they start these
Right.
injuries, they really start getting these injuries, and it's been a bad thing for them for about 5 years now. When they're healthy, they're the best team in the league. And when they're not, we see what they are, and that's what they've been over the last couple of weeks.
Every 3 years, the 49ers injury bug gets bit by them hard. 2020, they had 30 starters out at some point. It was just ridiculous. Like, everybody
if
in their
CMC
dog
goes
was,
down, they're done.
Yeah,
They're done.
I mean, they're almost kind of done now with Debo down. But to go back to the Seahawks, I do think they do win the West, and I think Devontae Adams to the Seahawks is absolutely stupid. I think that would be the dumbest move that you could possibly make, because Devontae Adams is going to want to be that number one guy. Are you going to take that away from Tyler Lockett? Are you going to take that from DK and that Ohio State guy, Jackson Smith, Najigba? He is up and coming and getting better each and every time.
Well, that's where a good GM has to have that conversation with Devontae before making the trade and being like, hey, Devontae, look, if you come here, you're not coming here to be a number one guy. You're coming here to share the reps. You're coming here to win a ring. Are you okay with that? And if Devontae says, no, I need touches, then you don't make that trade.
Yeah, but you see, I think if you even entertain that conversation with Devontae, that probably means Tyler Lockett is out the door. Tyler Lockett is 10 years in the league, maybe 11 years in the league. And I'm not so sure that they want to move on from Tyler, to be honest, because he has kind of
they shouldn't. He's still a number one in a lot of locker rooms. I think that if imagine you have Devontae and DK out on the edges, and you have Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba as your slot guys. I mean, that's a lot of weapons, man.
That is a lot of weapons. Not to
mention they have a really good tight end there. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. And they have Kenneth Walker III. Yeah, Noah Fant and Kenneth Walker III out of the backfield. That's a lot of weapons to account for. It's going to be hard for you at any point to try to stack the box. It's going to be hard for you to run a blitz package on them like Denver likes to run. It's going to be hard for a lot of teams to compete with that because of all the threats that you have. I don't think that it's a bad idea.
So, I mean, obviously this is very, very rare, and I don't think it has ever happened in the NFL, but the Chiefs are looking for a number one receiver. They are looking for a receiver period to come into that room. They are looking to trade Richie James and kind of get him out of town. But what if Seattle does make a play for Devontae Adams, and then the Chiefs are like, hey, we send another receiver to Vegas and you give us Tyler Lockett or hell, even DK, would that trade go down? Because I think that that
Vegas
benefits everybody.
Would Vegas let that go down? You're going to let another team in your division get in on the trade and let another team in your division get better?
If they truly want Devontae Adams out of town, and I think it was Jim that said he is becoming a cancer in that locker room. I think it is true. I think at some point you let them walk, and hell, if the Kansas City Chiefs are willing to give you a first round pick, like, hey,
they're not getting a first round pick.
You don't think Devontae Adams is warranted a first round pick?
First of all, why would the Chiefs give the Raiders a first round pick, and why would the Raiders let the Chiefs get locked? I mean, that I know we're talking in tongue in cheek here because
Right.
this is a far fetched deal, but there's no way that two teams in the same division, one gives another one a first round pick and the other one lets the other one get a top wide receiver in the league.
I am misspeaking because the Chiefs wouldn't be trading with the Raiders; they'll be trading with like the Seahawks, right?
Well, it'd be a 3-way trade, though, right? Is what you're talking about?
Yeah. So basically, this trade only happens if Devontae Adams goes to Seattle, and then Seattle's like, our wide receiver room is like too full. Here's Tyler Lockett for a second round pick.
There's no such thing as a wide receiver room that's too full, especially with wide receivers. And if one goes down with something like, I mean, I think if you're Seattle and you're trading for Devontae Adams, you're talking with everybody, putting everybody down in the room, and be like, look, this is what our plan is. This is what our goal is. We want to win a Super Bowl. We think we have the chance by adding Devontae to make this receiving room better. Everybody's going to get a fair share of the looks. Everybody's going to get a fair share of everything. Let's do this, and if everybody's on board, then you pull the trigger. But if everybody's not on board, then you don't pull the trigger on that trade.
Yeah, and I think Jim is right. He says Adam isn't going anywhere, but he won't be productive in Vegas unless he is thrown to 20 times in a game and gets that bottom lip sucked back in. This is the problem with Devontae Adams. He never wanted to leave Green Bay. He never wanted, because the Green Bay Packers were a damn good team with him and Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. They were a damn good team. There are 13 wins year after year. The only reason why he went to Vegas in the first place was to play with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is like, for whatever reason, the Raiders did not like Derek Carr. I don't know why.
He went to Vegas because he thought that the Raiders were going to get Aaron Rodgers.
No, he wanted to play.
There was a lot of talk about Rodgers going to Vegas.
There was,
and I believe, because there was even rumors that they had a talk before he signed with Vegas. Him and Rodgers had a talk, and Rodgers said, "Look, I'm looking to get out of Green Bay, and Vegas would be one of my destinations."
I mean, the point of the matter is he's not happy because he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers and doesn't have Derek Carr. He wants to go to a team where they're going to throw the ball all over the field, and that's not the Seahawks. The Seahawks MO is run the ball, win on defense. That's why we haven't heard from.
They've been throwing the ball a lot this year, though, haven't they? I mean,
the Seahawks.
Yeah,
I believe they're a very well balanced team this year. I mean, they have a two-headed monster in the backfield. Hoffy, correct me if I'm wrong. It's Kenneth Walker, and who is the other guy that they have? They just drafted in like another rookie, I think it was.
I mean, Geno Smith has almost 1,700 yards passing
in 8 games. That's not really saying a lot. Justin Fields has that much.
No, he doesn't. Justin Fields only has 1,100 yards passing.
What's that?
Is it Chris Carson?
Yeah, Chris Carson. Which, is he injured again? He can never stay healthy. No, it's not Chris Carson. It's Zach Charbonnet.
Seattle is the only American in a 100-yard dash against 7 Nigerians. Won't be in the lead long.
Jesus. All right. So, any other possible trades, Combs, that you might think might happen? Like teams trying to make some moves, trying to get better?
I think really keep an eye on the Bears moving Justin Fields in a blockbuster. I feel like they're done with Fields. I feel like they're trying to move on, and I feel like they could get more now from Atlanta than they could in the offseason.
So you're thinking Fields to Atlanta?
Fields to Atlanta. I think that they need something because they can still win the NFC South, and they need something to take over for Ridder because Ridder is just not the guy there. I know Heineke came in this past week, and Heineke looked pretty good for them. He could carry the torch for the next 2 weeks while Fields is still recovering from that dislocated thumb on his throwing hand, and then
he'll be
all bets
when he
are
goes
off.
to, like, Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. When he goes to Atlanta and he has all those weapons like Bijan Robinson, and Kyle Pitts. Yeah, I just believe that he's going to thrive. I would watch for that trade. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be able to happen. I don't know what Atlanta is willing to give up for that. I do know they were high on Desmond Ridder for some. They're high, all right, for thinking it, but they were high on Desmond Ridder before the season. So you'd have to wonder whether or not they're ready to move on from him, but they should be.
Well, I actually just read a report that they don't even know who the starting quarterback is going to be next week. It's not supposed to be announced till Wednesday, I think it is. So
the Tennessee Titans are not giving up a quarterback.
Yeah, so let's just talk about that. Like Will Levis for Renfro and Adams. A report just came out that Will Levis and Malik, what's his last name, is going to be splitting reps. So that tells me that who's the Tennessee coach?
Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel is not sold on Will Levis. Why are you going to split time with the quarterback? Like the old saying goes, when you have two quarterbacks, you have zero. So maybe
there's
going to be a trade.
I think that's just fluff. I think that's a veteran head coach telling a rookie quarterback, hey, just because you had a good game, the job's not yours yet. You still have to work for it. I think when you watch the two quarterbacks play, you can see the obvious glaring difference in what they're able to produce. Malik Willis wasn't able to produce a tenth of what Will Levis did in one game. Same thing with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill hadn't been able to produce in 7 weeks what Will Levis did in one game, as Will Levis doubled his touchdown total for the year.
Right.
So I don't know that that Will Levis is necessarily going to end up splitting reps with Malik Willis. I think it's just fluff.
He better not. Justin Fields to the Jets. Absolutely not. I said this back when Zach Wilson was not playing at a very high level, is that if you want Aaron Rodgers out of town, the quickest way to do that is to trade for a quarterback. So Justin Fields to the Jets is not going to happen.
And
the Jets want to make any moves.
If he wasn't showing signs of possibly returning this year, Rodgers, that is, I was big on the fact that they might have been in the lead for Kirk Cousins before the torn Achilles. I thought that they might go and take him. But then once he starts showing up on the field, and I think he thought that too, Rodgers did, because all of a sudden he's showing up on the field and throwing the ball around in pregame warmups, showing, hey, guys, I might be back soon, so don't go get a quarterback.
Yeah. So we got XD Gamer in the chat saying Jags are 6-2. Congratulations.
They are.
Put some respect on it. I did put respect on the Jags yesterday, and
I don't respect the Jags.
He just out there talking shit. Why don't you respect the Jags?
Because they, again, last year, the second half, I mean, they took advantage of a very soft schedule.
Right.
This year, minus the win, which was a good win against the Buffalo Bills, who are now 4-3.
Overseas doesn't count.
They're taking advantage of a weak schedule again. They do have the 49ers, Titans, and Texans the next 3 weeks. The 49ers game should be a good one. That defense, and let's see what Lawrence can do against a really good defense. I'm watching them closely because Lawrence isn't as good as he was projected to be coming out of college, but he's a lot better than what I thought he was going to be coming out of college. So he's kind of in the middle there. I'm interested to see what they do against the 49ers. I'll probably actually be watching that game more than I'll be watching the Bears game this Sunday. And then the Titans, which should be an interesting game as well, depending on which way they're going and how Will Levis is looking. And then the Texans is another interesting one. Seeing him versus CJ Stroud, who outperforms who. I think CJ Stroud is going to be a stud in this league.
Right.
But then they get some tough games. You get the Bengals, Browns, Ravens, and Buccaneers in succession. I'm interested to see what they end the season. I know they're 6-2 now. I'd be interested to see, and I'd go out on a limb saying they might not have 10 wins this season.
Yeah. And just to add to your cupcake schedule, as Hoffy likes to say, every time the Jacksonville Jaguars play a good team like the Buffalo Bills, like the 49ers, they have an advantage. It is overseas against the Buffalo Bills. When they play the 49ers, it's at home at 1 o'clock. So back in California time was 10 o'clock in the morning. Like they're tired. They're like they are groggy. The stats are that when a team travels from the West Coast to the East Coast and plays that 1 o'clock game, they have a 40% winning percentage. So every game that they have played, they have had the advantage. So And then XD Gamer says, bro, we beat the Steelers and the Saints defense. So yes, we played good defense.
The Steelers are like ranked 25th in the league.
Yeah, their defense is not very good right now.
And they're not very good. I'll give you the Saints. The Saints are a top 10 defense in the league. I'll give you that one. But the Steelers are not a very good defense. So
yeah, they're 30th in defense. Thanks, Hoffy.
And you also that Saints team that you beat. Give me a refresher, but I believe that was the game that Derek Carr was out.
I'm pretty sure he is because he got hurt versus the Colts. I believe he did miss the Saints or miss the Jaguars game.
Yeah, I believe that was the game that he was out. Yeah. So look, I'm not against the Jags. Don't get me wrong. I mean, so XD Gamer, I'm not saying that the Jags are a bad team. I'm just saying they last year, that second half, I mean, they were really bad in the first half. Trevor Lawrence was really bad in the first half of the season. Then they had a really soft schedule where they played the bottom half of the league in the second half of that schedule. I mean, they played some really bad teams.
Yeah.
You have the comeback win versus the Los Angeles Chargers, which everybody comes back and beats the Los Angeles Chargers. And you have had a soft schedule for the most part this season.
And it's been
had an advantage overseas as well. Don't forget that game against Buffalo. You were there for 2 weeks. Buffalo had just traveled there and did not have a bye week the week after. So I'm just saying, calm down a little bit, Jaguars fans. I'm not so sure you're really as good as your 6-2 record says you are.
So as we started talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers and I saw this, Kenny Pickett is not the guy. My mind started to turn here, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-4-3 still second in the division.
Pickett's the guy.
Do you think Pickett is the man in Steelers, or do they make a push for a quarterback?
No, I think Pickett is the guy. I think the Steelers have the right guy there. I know he got hurt. And they had a chance until he got hurt this past week.
Well, he got hurt in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were playing really tough. They had a chance before he got hurt, but then after he got hurt and you had Mitch Trubisky in the game, I mean, it was kind of bad for business.
Listen, Mason Rudolph might have a better career than Mitch Trubisky in Steelers.
I mean,
even with this half a brain,
Mitch Trubisky is not very good.
He's better than Justin Fields.
You're stupid. I'm gonna next time I see you, I'm seriously throat punching you.
Seriously, make sure you bring your step stool.
I'll bring 2 of them.
All right. End the show, Hoffy.
Man Hour Nation.
This is my job. Get out of here. Man Hour Nation, rise up.